1 2 checking.
חד.
עושה פרק תהילים. מזמור לדוד, אדוני מי יגור באוהליך, מי ישכון בהר קודשך. הולך תמים ופועל צדק ודובר אמת בלבבו. לא רגל על לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רעה, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו. נבזה בעיניו, נמאס, ואת יראי אדוני יכבד. נשבע להרע ולא ימיר. כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד על נקי לא לקח, עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנות עשר ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
מזמור לדוד, אובו לאדינוי בני אלים, אובו לאדינוי כבוד ואויז, אובו לאדינוי כבוד שמוי, השתחוו לאדינוי בהדרס קוידש, כוי לאדינוי על המוים, אילה כבוד עירים אדינוי על מים רבים, כוי לאדינוי בכויח, כוי לאדינוי בהודור, כוי לאדינוי שבר הרוזים, וישבר אדינוי אסרזה הלבנון, וירקידם כמוי עגל, לבנון וסיון כמוי בן רעמים, כוי לאדינוי חויצב להבויס איש, כוי לאדינוי יוכי מדבור, יוכי לאדינוי מדבר קודש, כוי לאדינוי יוכי לילה יולויס, ויחסויף יארויס, ויכולוי כולוי אומר כבוד, אדינוי למבול יושוב, וישב אדינוי מלך לאוילום, אדינוי אויז לעמו ייתן, אדינוי יבורך אס עמוי בשלום.
שיר המעלות, אשר כל ירא אדוני הולך בדרכיו, יגיע כפיך כי תאכל, אשריך וטוב לך. אשתך כגפן פוריה, בירכתי ביתך בניך כשתלי זיתים, סביב לשולחנך. הנה כי כן יבורך גבר, ירא אדוני. יברך אדוני מציון, וראה בטוב ירושלים כל ימי חייך. וראה בנים לבניך, שלום על ישראל.
Your Hespedim, beginning with grandson Yitzi, followed by brother David, Benji, Josh, and then followed by Nishra's 3 rows.
Grandpa, I miss you already. I miss your smile. I miss the sound of your voice. I miss your simplicity, your warmth. I miss walking through the door on Rutland Avenue and you calling to me, Yitzo, come and give me a hug. And I'd run to you and receive a firm and reassuring hug, a hug that only you could give. I remember when Shaya and I were little, we flew to the US, and at the time we were very into Star Wars. And so when we got to Teaneck from the airport, Grandpa was standing at the door and waiting for us with 2 giant lightsabers from Toys R Us. I can't tell you how happy it made us. We ran around with those lightsabers for years, and Grandpa participated in our little battles, trying as best he could to connect with us. Later on, as I grew and started loving the Yankees, Grandpa was my baseball man. Although he hadn't followed baseball in years, he made an effort to brush up on the baseball statistics and read all the papers so that we could have an informed conversation about baseball. Baseball at the time was my life, and he went to great lengths to make it his. My favorite memory of Grandpa was a couple of summers ago when he decided to take me down to the beach at Asbury Park for the day. During the entire drive down, we talked about the things that we loved. Grandpa shared memories from his childhood in Danville, talked to me about his passion for dentistry, and shared with me some thoughts from the books he loved. He then listened as I patiently as I shared about my love for sports, about my time in the hospital, and about what I planned to do in the future. When we finally got to the beach, Grandpa was extremely enthusiastic. He jumped straight into the water like a fish, and we swam and played around for hours in the waves. It was a perfect day. I learned that Grandpa was an uncomplicated man, one that you could love and understand. Over the past year, I've been grateful to have been so close with Grandpa. We spoke at least once a week and kept each other updated frequently. If there's one thing that I learned from him over the last period of time, it's that positivity has an incredible power. Even when odds were totally against him, Grandpa would say, "There's another trial drug coming. there's another interesting drug. And even when there was clearly no miracle drug, Grandpa had the will to live, the will to learn, and the will to spend time with the people he loved. I'd call sometimes and it was clear to me that he was in a lot of pain. And anyways, he would ask me, Yitzi, how was your day? What's the plan for the rest of the week? How was Shabbat? He cared about me. He cared for us. He fought all of the pain, the side effects, and the fatigue in order to talk with me on the phone for 10 minutes. To be totally honest, I'm sad that it ended this way, but I'm also extremely happy. I'm happy that about 2 weeks ago, I got to personally thank him on the phone for everything. Grandpa, you're more to me than just Grandpa. You're my dear friend and my role model. Thank you, Grandpa, for everything. I'll really miss you.
A few weeks ago, when my father was quite sick, I woke up in his house, came downstairs, and I saw a list of names that he had written, 2 columns long. He filled up a page with names. Some of them I knew, others not. It was a list of names of people that he, in the middle of the night, had written down that he wanted to reach out to show his appreciation for. He was already quite sick. Some of them were like Jeff Lichtman, who's done so much to help Donnie. I heard him, I was blessed to hear him speak with a former hygienist of his, someone who had helped him work at the nursing home where he practiced dentistry at the end until this year. And his eyes he was too tired to open his eyes even, but he kept going, asking about her daughter, giving assurances that life would be okay, wanting to know more and really open up and say, I appreciate you. And this was not the father that I had grown up with that was so explicit and aware of the gratitude that really took over this past couple of years when he was sick. It was a lesson that he dearly wanted to impart, and we spoke about this a number of times, and I know many of you heard him talk about it. Others might have descended into sadness or depression. His body was wrecked with cancer, but he just buckled up and kept on driving. And when his world shrank to his bed and the window above his head, he decided to change his frame of mind and to find joy and to find things to be grateful for. And I'm so thankful that he was able to experience it that way, to end his life grateful and positive about what was going around him, where others might not have. And he would look up at night, every night, and be nervous that the dark sky wouldn't turn bright in the morning. And in the morning would come, and he would say Moda Ani, and we sang it a few times, and it was a Moda Ani that was so authentic and so deep that he was truly thankful for every moment he had with us, with his family, with his friends. Dad told me recently that when he settled, when he really found himself comfortable professionally, he felt he could make a living, his focus became his family. And for the rest of his life, his focus and his priority was his family, and we felt that. I know I felt that. And he had a way of relating where he wasn't someone who told us every step that he thought we should take, but he was there and he respected our choices, and he trusted us, and he had expectations, and then he trusted that we would meet them, and he always wanted to talk, but he wasn't trying to push. He was always there for us. I remember him in his dental office, calling Grandma and Grandpa when they lived in Far Rockaway. Every day he would call. Just like every day when he was a kid, he would write home when he was off in New York and they were in Danville. And it was he was built that way. that of course you do that. And Uncle Danny, I remember my dad telling me that just recently, when Aunt Leah, Allah Shalom, got sick, he felt helpless, and he felt, you know what, the one thing that he could do was to call, and he committed to calling you, and he felt that was something that he could do, and it also helped, and I know he cherished that the relationship got stronger because of it, and that's who he was. He just did. It wasn't complicated. He heard 40 years ago that you shouldn't eat meat. If you stop eating meat, you'll live longer. So he stopped eating meat. And you're supposed to take 5 fruits a day. So for years, for decades, he would take a sandwich and 5 fruits to go to the office. And he was amazing that way. He did the right thing. In his closet, he has 30 ties that are still knotted, and they're destroying the ties. But he always wanted to have it ready to go to the office, to go to shul. He was proper, and he wasn't fancy. He was authentic. So soon after his diagnosis, which my dad fought valiantly, I started feeling like I should tell him I love him, which was not the kind of thing that we said a lot in my family, in our relationship. I knew that he loved me, and he knew that I loved him, but it wasn't something we said. But I started doing it because I felt like I really should, and this is a serious diagnosis. And it was a little awkward in the beginning, but then he would say it back. And then these past few months, I've said it and heard it more than I can remember. And I'm grateful to have known his love without words and also to have known it with words. Because he showed so much, even without saying, he showed his devotion to family. It's sort of strange to when I was blessed to become a parent, I started hearing his words come out of my mouth when I talk to my kids, and it's a little disorienting, and then it's also really nice. And just from being with him and around him, I learned so much that I wish that I had more time, but I am truly grateful to have been blessed to have him as a father. He was an amazing father and grandfather and husband and brother and son and role model, and I hope to live up to some of his legacy.
When I was a teenager, I made a mistake. Maybe a lot of teenagers make this mistake, and I started to think, I don't have much to learn from my father. We're very different, and my father and I, we were very different. It was quiet, and I was annoying or loud. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, and that was my mindset for a little bit of my life, and then I started to realize that to learn from my father, it wasn't a question of him lecturing you, because he wasn't the type to lecture. Maybe occasionally, but it was just to watch him. Really, just to watch him. He was like the definition of a mensch. Anything good that we have is from him. Just even little stupid things, like to say hello to someone before they say hello to you, or be the first to shake someone's hand, like little things, or how to treat a waiter or waitress in a restaurant. That's my father. I wanted to talk briefly about 3 things of many, many things that I learned from my father. First is the importance of family. To Dad, family was everything. Really everything. I said he never lectured me, but there was one thing that sticks in my head like forever, and that is your brothers will always be your best friends. And you were his best friends, meaning head and shoulders above anybody else. He used to tell me that when you were little, you were his only friends in Danville. and he looked to you for guidance, and he loved you, and I know how much he appreciated everything you did for him in this last period, all the phone calls, the visits, the effort, and he told me this on so many occasions, and he imparted that to us. We are best friends. He was also an incredible son. I would get annoyed sometimes because he'd come to visit Israel and we wouldn't see him. He'd be visiting grandma. So he would take her in a wheelchair to the beach, and he'd take her on the sand and to an amusement park. Like, I don't even know how he did it, but he had that. He had that, and it was amazing to see. And the family, of course, as a father, I mean, my mother calls us her jewels, and he didn't call us that, but he felt it. He was selfless. He didn't give himself anything. Anything was for us. If we were happy, he was happy. I mean, I can remember him in the stands when I was in high school, and I was sitting on the bench with Ziv. Where's he? And I remember him upset that the coach wasn't letting us in. We weren't. He talked to me afterwards about that. You should be in there. You should be in there. And what he's done for my brother Donnie is impossible to put into words. We're only beginning to realize that now, and we will continue it. We will do everything that we can to make sure that Donnie is taken care of. That's what you wanted, and that's what you did. I mean, my father wouldn't take vacations. He'd go to Florida with Donnie, which is not a vacation. That's just the person that he is. The second thing I want to talk about is learning. My father was always learning. He was always questioning. He was always delving into something. He had a 10-year tefillah period. Someone just reminded me he used to hand out these little things in shul that say, "Stop talking." That was like a thing. And then he got into Tanakh, and then he got into, just recently, we were talking about the nature of Olam Haba, which was very relevant, right? And always questioning, but he was an amazing listener also, which is something I need to learn. He was an amazing listener. He's, I think, the first adult that I can remember thinking, wow, you can change an adult's mind. He'd listen. He'd listen to a kid, and he just was always learning, and always interested in what people have to say. And the last thing I want to talk about is Hakarat Tov, which has been an incredibly important theme in his life recently. My father basically was expressing Hakarat Tov for the past, year, certainly in the past 2 months, where, they say he should be Sameach B'chalko, his chelek was getting smaller and smaller. He was just in a room, and he was so happy to see the sun every morning, and so happy for every second that Hashem granted him on earth, and every visitor, and every phone call, and just anything. The taste of ice chips, he said, wow, this is amazing. He was able to find joy in so many things. And I think that's a lesson too, that he fought so hard for every second. Those seconds are worth it. I just want to finish with a vort that I heard. Someone came to visit my father and said a beautiful vort, and that was, the person knew how my father was Mekayim the mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'em. And so he said, it says, so what's the connection between long life and being mechabed your parents? And this rabbi who came over, he said something beautiful. He said that when you're mechabed your parents, you talk to them, you learn about them, you learn about your grandparents, you learn about your great-grandparents, you connect to them. And so it's, yes, you may have longer life, but you're also extending your life backwards. You're extending your life backwards in time. And Dad, we will continue to be marich our lives through you, talking about you, learning about you, teaching our children about you. And we're going to miss you terribly.
think essentially we have the same thoughts, which I guess means there's something to it. Yesterday, actually on Shabbat, we completed Sefer Shemot and we communally said Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. As I was saying it in shul, we knew that my father was fading, and I was thinking, Chazak, Chazak. He had been so strong. Strong in this latter period that my brothers have been speaking about, and strong really throughout his life. He was an incredibly strong person with great discipline, resilience, and integrity. I wanted to touch on a few areas of my father's life, just to try to give a sense of his character and some things that I feel like we can learn from. One thing that my father had great passion for was Israel, the state of Israel, Eretz Yisrael. He came to learn in Israel in Yeshivat Darom in college, long before it was the thing to do. And of course, our family made Aliyah. It was my parents' dream when they got married to come and live in Israel, and we made Aliyah, which unfortunately they weren't able to stay here. My father continued throughout his life to aspire to come back to Israel. It was really just until a couple of years ago he had thoughts of being able to come to Yerushalayim and go to Shiurim. So that didn't happen, but being here today feels like we're in the right place with him. Aside from that, he talked about Israel all the time. He kind of lived and died with what was going on in Israel. There was a point in time we had to urge him not to read the paper anymore because he would get so aggravated. And aside from getting aggravated, he also cared so deeply. He wasn't an overtly emotional person. But he used to tell me how after something terrible happened, especially during the Intifada, he would be up all night. He couldn't sleep. Why couldn't you sleep? Did you hear what happened in the Shtachim? I was like, I heard, I slept, but he didn't sleep because it meant so much to him. So I feel like really while he spent most of his days living in America, he was truly Libo b'Mizrach. And it's appropriate that, like his namesake, Yaakov Avinu, we were zochet to bring him back here today. The other element I wanted to touch on, like Benji did, was in terms of family. He was a role model to us, certainly as a son, as Benji was talking about, with his kibbud av v'em, and as a husband. My parents had a marriage that started with a great love affair. They were married for over 50 years. And they gave us the gift of a loving, happy, stable marriage and home, which I don't take for granted. And it's a matana, and they gave each other great comfort and joy throughout life. Their life was not easy in many ways, but they were able to weather many storms and have a happy, healthy life together. As I look around the room, I see so many faces, nephews of my father, nieces of my father, his family. I mean, this is exactly the kind of place where he would want to be. He so much appreciated family. When we would go to Israel, he would tell us, make sure you visit Uncle Uri, make sure you see as many of his kids as you can, make sure you see Moshe, Baruch, and we would come back and he would want to report, who did you see, who did you talk to? We'd have to report back to him because it was something that he valued and he wanted to communicate that to us. As a father, he was dedicated and selfless. He was giving. In certain ways, maybe even too giving. I was thinking, when we were kids, we were never really taught the value of money because my dad had a drawer in his dresser. It was the second drawer. And if we ever needed money as teenagers, we just knew we would kind of go in that drawer, and there was always cash there somehow. It's not there anymore, so don't think you could like go. But he was very, very giving. He also, as David was saying, knew how to be very respectful of boundaries. He knew like that he had communicated a certain confidence in us, and then he expected us to live up to certain ideals, but he was able to give us that space. I kind of made him crazy a little bit in my 20s when I was going to be a rabbi, a doctor, a rabbi, a doctor. And then in my 30s, I'm marrying this one, I'm not marrying that one, and this one. But throughout it all, he was able to communicate that he had confidence in me. He didn't push. I had plenty of friends whose fathers, my mother pushed. But my dad did not push. I never woke up in the morning to have him sitting on me, asking me how the date went. That didn't happen. There was one time, and I'm mentioning this just because it says something about who he was. There was only one time there was a girl I was dating, and he particularly liked her and thought she was a good person for me, and I did not. And he came over, and he made a point of kind of pushing a little bit. And I think he saw from my reaction that I was upset. And he wrote me a long, sincere letter of apology for pushing too much. And I'll never forget the letter, but to me, it really captured how he saw us, the confidence he had in us, and the respect he had for us. I also was zochim the last few years to see my father, actively as a grandfather. He very much appreciated all of his grandchildren, and having my kids being so nearby the last few years, my father became, like he said, I'm just part of the furniture. He would just kind of show up random hours of the day, sometimes 6:30 in the morning, and be there just because he just wanted to see the children. In the last couple of years, as his body got weaker, he would, after a full day of being in the hospital and going through chemotherapy, he would literally drag himself to my apartment and almost collapse on the couch just so he could be around his grandchildren. He had great love for his grandchildren. And I know they're going to miss him, as are we. Benji alluded to my father's love of tefillah. There's a saying, people say that you can't really change someone after they turn 50. Well, that wasn't true for my dad. He really experienced a spiritual renaissance in his 50s. He became incredibly passionate about tefillah, and not just being in a minyan, but what the value of tefillah was, reading about it, talking about it, maybe even giving mussar about it. And I think that speaks to his the fact that he really was a serious person. He was someone who took life very seriously. He was searching for meaning, and really wanted to figure out what we're doing here and what is it all about. And there were times when my father was in his 50s and early 60s, and he would talk to me, and I felt like I was speaking to a Shana Bet guy. He would say things like, "I don't understand why we don't just sit and daven all day." I'm like, "You have a job." But that was where his mindset was, which I think is pretty remarkable. My mom told me that my father and my grandparents, Alem Shalom, walked down at their wedding to the song Mihaish HaChapetz Chaim. And I was thinking in the last days, the final lesson my father imparted was the lesson of Mihaish HaChapetz Chaim, Ohev Yamim Liro Tov. he really showed us what it meant to be Ohev Yamim Lirot Tov. Every day he got up and he just was so grateful to have another day. And he would say to us, just looking up and seeing that there's clouds in the sky, or there's a blue sky, or being able to talk to a friend or a brother is so meaningful. Just last Sunday, I brought my youngest to my father. She's 1.5, and she had a little cold, so I was trying to protect him. He said, "Let me just rub her back," and he put his hand on her back, and his face just lit up with the joy, that we all kind of, just touching the back of a baby is a pleasure that we all, kind of take for granted. But he said it's so wonderful to be able to touch my granddaughter. And I think that final lesson is something that I will definitely try to implement, the idea of really being Ohev Yamim Lirot Tov, to try to appreciate every day and see the best in every day. As I started with, we said, Chazak, Chazak, Benit Chazek. Dad, you were so strong for us throughout your life. You were truly the foundation of our family. Almost in the sense that you don't really think about the foundation until there's a crack in it. I'm hoping and praying that we can learn from you, and Benit Chazek, that we can take that to become stronger for Mom and for Donnie and for our children, to be strong, good people as you taught us to be.
צר לי הולך, אוכי. צר לי הולך, אוכי. נעמת לי מאוד. נעמת לי מאוד. מאוד קשה לחשוב שהאח הגדול שלי, האח האהוב שלי, לא נמצא איתנו. קשה לה מאוד. קשה אליי פרידתכם. היינו כמעט 80 שנה בקשר אמיץ, קשר של אהבה, של אחווה ורעיוס. איך אפשר להמשיך בלי זה? גדלת ביחד, תמיד היית עוזר לי. אני זוכר כשהייתי ילד, עזרת לי בהרבה עניינים, שמרתי עליי ממנו, ולהיכנס לדברים לא טובים. תמיד דאגת לכולם. נעמת לי מאוד. נעמת לי. הנעימוס שלך, זה היה אתה. נעימוס. כל דבר היה נעים. איך שהיה אכפת לו על כל אחד, כמו שדיברו, שהיה כל כך אכפת על הבנים, על אשתו, וגם כן על כל המשפחה המורחבת, גם על כל הילדים שלי, תמיד היה כזה נעימות, כל כך אכפת לו. תמיד מספרים איך שהוא, תמיד רוצה לדעת מה קורה עם זה, מה קורה עם זה, הוא זוכר את השמות, זוכר את הפרטים. היה מתקשר להגיד מזל טוב, אם נולד להם, או התארס להם, או משהו, תמיד היה משמח אותו. אפילו בימים האחרונים, שהוא שמע שהתארס איזה נכד, איזה נכדה, מאוד מאוד שמח, הוא שמח עם כל החולשה שלו, הוא שמח בשמחה של האחרים. כל הנעימות שלו היה ממש מדבק, הוא נתן לאחרים, כולם, שהיה לו מגע איתו, גם הגישו נעים. זה נובע מלב, לב של אהבה, לב של אמס, אהבת השם, אהבת הבריאוס, אהבת כל המשפחה, כל דבר הוא אהב, והוא שידר את הנעימות שלו. אפשר להעריך, אבל אני יודע שזה כבר קשה לציבור. יש עניין, דווקא כתוב במדרש על פרשת פיקודי שקראנו בשבס, מביאים את הפסוק, עוז והודו לבושו, ותשחק ליום האחרון. שמח עד היום האחרון. מה זה יום האחרון? מה זה היום האחרון? אז המדרש אומר, זה היה משה רבינו, שכולם אמרו, הליצנים של הדור אמרו, איך אפשר להקים משכן, איך אתה יכול לבנות כזה דבר בשביל השכינה? איך אתה יכול לעשות? התלוצצו עליו. אבל אז כאשר אמר לו להקים, והוא הקים את זה, איך הוא הקים את זה? זה היה טונות של דברים, קרשים ענקיים. איך הוא הקים את זה? השם עוזר לו. היה ודאי, היה בנס בעצם, סייעתא דשמיא. אז ותשחק ליום האחרון, אז הוא שמח, שבאמת הצליח, למרות כל הקושי וכל מה שדיברו נגד, הוא יודע שזה נכון, והוא עשה את זה והצליח, ותשחק ליום האחרון. כששלחו את ג'ימי לניו יורק, ילד בן 13, ללכת לכזה רחוק, 500 מייל רחוק, לחזור הביתה פעמיים בשנה. איך אפשר? מה זה? אי אפשר. הוא עשה את זה. הוא עשה את זה עם כל הקושי, לא קל. הוא עשה את זה. אבל תשחק ליום האחרון. הוא יודע שזה נכון, בסוף כל החיים שלו נבנה על ידי זה. כל התורה שהוא לומד וכל העניינים של תורה שהוא לומד וירושלים וכל זה, הוא השקיע את זה בנו, כל אלה האחים שבאו אחריו, תודה לו וגם לכל המשפחה. זה היה שמחה לכל החיים. הוא נהנה מזה, תראה מה הוא בנה. בנה פה אימפריה של בנים, בני בנים. כולם הולכים בדרך התורה. זה היה ותשחק ביום האחרון. וגם אצלנו, אני, כל האחים שלי, כל כך אסירי טובה, לא, על מה שהוא עשה לנו. בלעדו זה לא היה קורה. אם לא היה מצליח שמה, אף אחד לא היה ממשיך בישיבה. הוא עשה את זה עם כל הכוח וכל הקושי, אני לא שמעתי מילה ממנו שזה בעיה. זה טוב שם. ולכן כל התורה שלנו, כל הישמיים שלנו, כל זה, זה שלו. כמו שרבי עקיבא אמר על אשתו, כל התורה שלי זה שלה. אז אנחנו יכולים באמת להגיד את זה עליו. כל מה שיש לנו, זה ממנו. וזה תשחק ליום האחרון, מה שדיברו, כן, שרואים כל זה, איך שבאמת האחרון ממש, בימים האחרונים, בשנים האחרונות, הוא נהנה מזה, הוא נהנה מהקדוש ברוך הוא נהנה מהקשר. הרבה פעמים דיברנו עניינים של הקדוש ברוך הוא, ועניינים של תפילו, ודיברנו. הוא כל כך היה מעוניין בדברים האלה, זה כל כך היה חשוב לו. והוא באמת הצליח. זה כל כך הרבה דברים אפשר להגיד, אבל זה אנחנו באמת רוצים כאן להכיר טובה, לא כל כך, אם אפשר להגיד, זה אפשר באמת להחזיר לו טובה על זה, אבל כולם רוצים באמת להעריך, מאוד מאוד להעריך את כל מה שהוא עשה לנו, ואת כל הכיבוד אב ואם שהיה לו, להורים, שזה באמת דוגמה לנו, הם כל כך נהנו, והוא כל כך היה, את הלב שלו, ראו את זה, איך שהוא אוהב אותם ודואג להם בניו יורק, כל הזמן הוא היה זה שהיה כל כך משקיע בכל הזמן, תמיד דואג לאחרים, תמיד היה, הנעימות שלו היה מעביר את זה הלאה לכולם. אז אנחנו רגעים, תודה, תודה, תודה. מבקש, מחילה, אם באמת לא, היה משהו לא נכון, אם לא התנהגנו כמו שצריך, ותהיה מלץ יושר, ואשתך שתחיה לכל הבנים, בני בנים, לכל המשפחה, וכל כלל ישראל, ומוך השם תימא מהכל פנים, לא סדם רואים.
It's difficult to speak in the past tense about Jimmy. Just a few days ago, I had, I think, the last conversation, and I told him about Bathsheba's new grandson. And he was so happy to hear about it, to hear there was a bris and the name. And as has been mentioned, he cared about all the family. His nieces and nephews were like children, Kima. I want to be brief because I think the boys have spoken and said everything. I just want to mention, I was in Teaneck 2 weeks ago, and I think I'm the only one here who experienced what happened on Shabbos. Jimmy decided that week that he wanted to invite select members of his Hashkama minyan from Shabbos to come to the house on Shabbos morning after davening to be with him. He didn't explain why, So Bunny, as a devoted, loyal wife, called the people, arranged it. And these, I think there were 11 men. These were the men who sat near him in shul at the Hashkama minyan. And they came after shul, after the minyan. They came to the house. He said, I don't want a kiddush for them. I just want them to come. Of course, a kiddush was prepared. They came into the room, and he started speaking. What did he want to say? He wanted to tell these people who he felt close to how much he loved that minyan, how he missed it, how important it was to him. And he wanted, one last time, to bring some of the Kedusha of that minyan into his room, into the house. And he did. A couple people said Divrei Torah. We sang a little bit, and it was over. 15 minutes, they got up, they left. A couple made kiddush, most didn't, and he was happy. The importance to him of that minyan, of the davening, of the kedusha, of the tefillah, of the minyan, he wanted a piece of that to carry with him. Tremendous lesson, I think, I saw in it. And we'll miss it. He's a cobra.
Just about everything has been said. And you have to know when to fold them. But I want to just conclude with one thought that I've been thinking about since I got on the plane yesterday. It's pasuk in Tehillim. We all know it. Hinei matov umanayim sheves achim gam yachad. We are very, very fortunate as a family to be achim that are biyachad. And Baruch Hashem, while there clearly are nuances of difference, we are remarkably close and devoted. But I want to just end with this point. That only came about because there was a 13-year-old boy who had the courage to get on a Greyhound bus for 12 hours to attend a yeshiva that he knew no one, all of whom had been to at least 8 years of yeshiva, and he didn't pack up and run away. All we are is because of what Jimmy did as a courageous kid. I wouldn't be here. I'd be having fun somewhere. That's what Jimmy did. He taught us with courage. And it strikes me, his name even, Yaakov Yosef, Yaakov, as a young fellow, has to get away from the home. He's got to go off on his own, all by himself. And a Yosef, also, create a world. Jimmy's legacy is essentially every member of our family. If he could respond, he would argue, because he was also that humble. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, he was such a wonderful son, husband, father, grandfather, big brother. Our little story from a fellow who came from Germany and married a girl from North Carolina, and they sent boys to yeshiva. That's only because there was one young man who led the way. And we can never forget that. I can't. Hine ma tov u'manayim, sheves achim gam yachad.
פרק ט"ז בתהילים. מרתום לדוד שומרני את כרוסי סיבוך, אומר דריני אדיני אותי ועוזם בעלו לכו, לקדושים אשר באורצים ובדירי כל חפצי בום, עיר בו עצבוי שמחם אורו בעל הסיר נזכה מיתום ועל הסוי שמוי סומל ספוסוי, אדינוי מנס חלקי בכוי סייתו דמשגרו לי, חבולים נפלו לי בנעימים אף נחלה שופרו אלוי, אבוררס אדיני אשר יוצון יאף לי לא יסיסרון יחיד יויסוי, שיביסי אדיני לנגדי תמיד כי מביני בעלי מועד, לא כן סומך ליבי ויגיע קוידיה בסור ישכוי לו בטח, כי לא יישא אז דוי נפשי לשאול יוסיתן חסידכו לרוי שוחס, תוי דייני אוי רח האם זוי בסמכו לזמונכו, נעימויז ממנחו נצח. אמן. לפי מנהג ירושלים, כל יוצאי חלציו לא ילכו אחר מיתה. בנים, נכדים, כל מי שנמצא פה, נכדות, אם רוצים להיות בקבורה, שילכו לפני. אחים יכולים. עוד נכדים? נכדות יש פה?